They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of displayed. Right now there's about 186 subscribers. I just need y'all, if you can, I know the COVID's going on, but if you can, at least just put $5 in there. $5 on the Kickstarter and share it also, because we need to take this to fiction. That's why you see them fighting and putting men down on games and video games. They know that fiction is the last frontier, and that's why I need your support, man. I need you to go on Kickstarter and support SIMP-TAGION. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, you know what I mean? So this video is gonna be about something that, it took me a while to learn this one. This video is about forgive your father. You have to forgive your father. This is what this video is about. Now, the reason this video is about forgiving your father is that we're so trained from the media and the Shianist ideology, the Effinist ideology is that we've been trained. Oprah, who's had 100 shows where she just spit on black fathers 24/7. Then you had your Ricky Lates, your all these other shows where they just spit on the father and spit on the man. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. Here's the reason I say you gotta forgive your father, because you have to understand. Yes, men are the gatekeepers of relationships, as in a man will decide whether, okay, I want you to be my girlfriend, I want you to be my wife, and so on. But the gatekeeper of life, as in a person who opens their legs and accepts the seed, is the woman in that relationship. So, for example, if your father was a drug dealer, you know what I'm saying? He's a drug dealer, sold drugs, did this and that. He wasn't qualified for that. You don't know what happened. You don't know how you came into this world. You don't know if it was by choice from your father's side or so on. But what you do know is that he wasn't qualified. You know what I mean? He wasn't qualified. Not everybody's qualified to be a parent. You know what I'm saying? But every man is qualified to be a parent in entrapment. You know what I'm saying? When she wants to trap that man and maintain a relationship with that man, she will have his child. You know what I'm saying? Because one way or another, that man has to be in her life because she had his child. You know what I'm saying? Even if they've broken up and so on, that man will still be in her life because the child will will pressure the man to actually be closer to his mom, even during the destruction. Child support and alimony, doing all that, because the child doesn't know better and the child is trying to be whole. The child, you can't blame the child. The child's trying to be whole. And what happens is you have to learn to forgive your father. And the reason you gotta learn to forgive your father is that he wasn't the deciding factor of who your father would be. For example, if your father's a drug dealer, if your father's a criminal, if your father's a shrewd businessman, if your father's 100% jerk, or if your father's 100% immature, lacks any fabric of maturity that says he could be a father figure, you can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame your father. And the thing is this, as a man, if you can forgive your father, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to live in your manhood, because you have to understand your father is the representation of half of who you are. And if you can accept that, you know what I'm saying? If you can forgive that man, because here's the thing, your forgiveness or your, in fact, not even forgiveness, acceptance. You can accept who your father is. You can move on. You can move forward. You can take away this aggression and anger, or angst and self-destruction that's inside of you, where you just seek to slay and destroy your own father, because you're like, man, you can't accept that this man is your father. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing, that man, he's accepted you're his son, even if he ain't qualified to be a father. Because you have to understand, yes, that man who you call father is your father, but it wasn't his final decision. Now, it might be different in an arranged marriage and certain things like that, but I'm talking about in the West, your US, your UK, your Canada, your more developed countries and so on. You know what I'm saying? If your father's that bad boy, if your father's that Chad, that Tyrone, whatever it is, you have to understand your father wasn't the last deciding factor. That last deciding factor was your mom. You know what I mean? The choice of who your father is based on your mom's decision to open that, open what lies between her waist. So that's who decided who your father would be. That man didn't decide he would be your father. Even if he spit mad game and was romantic and all that stuff to her and did this and did that, at the end of the day, the lack of protection during their sexual encounter was up to her. You know what I'm saying? So you have to learn to accept who your father is, because at the end of the day, he had to accept he's your father as soon as you were going to be born. You gotta remember, with the way this whole abortion thing works, is that she can decide to keep you without your father's choice. You know what I'm saying? Or even before the abortion, she could decide how you will come into this world, whether it be by what they call that sperm jacking. Maybe she just boom sat on your pops one day, or maybe she put her hands, jerked them off, and got a sample, or maybe she took the condom out of the toilet. You know what I mean? You don't know how your father, and you gotta understand, your father's the one who's actually living with more of a state of paranoia. He's living with a higher level of mental issues and destruction, because you were brought into this world, depending on whether he wanted a child or not, you were forcefully brought into this world. His manhood was taken away from him, when she forcefully made him into a father. A lot of people don't talk about the psychological effect of a man being forced into fatherhood. The greatest decision a man has to make is how or whether he'll spread his seed. You know what I'm saying? And when that is taken away from him, you know what I'm saying? When that level of his manhood is taken away, and just, you know what I'm saying, the psychological damage it has on that man. You know what I mean? And how, how it's forget the word, where how it's not that it's feminized him. It's just how it's how your mother just took advantage and forced you into being alive. Think about it. That man might have had plans on how he wanted to bring you into this world, how the level of life, the level of life quality he wanted you to come into. Instead, his worst first impression is from you, his child. You know what I'm saying? From you, his child. He wasn't prepared. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe your mom wasn't qualified, or whatever it is. And that's another thing. Another reason it's hard for a lot of children to accept and forgive their father is that it brings up a very painful question. The painful question is, were you worthy of being born? Were you worthy of being brought into this world? And it brings up a very painful question of when you find out that you're a one night stand baby. Nothing was planned for your future. You know what I'm saying? None was planned for your future except you being a tool, a hostage in a negotiation between your mother and father. You know what I'm saying? To her advantage. So it brings up a lot of pain, unquestionable amount of pain, because for you to have this conversation, it brings up the thought of, man, was I worth being born? You know what I'm saying? Was I worthy of having life? You know what I'm saying? Would my father have been better off without me being born? You know what I'm saying? These are truly painful questions, man. And I plan to do a separate video and I dive deeper into that. But, you know, it's a pain, high level of pain for you to ask that question. Were you worthy of life? Should you have been born? You know what I mean? You know how painful that is for you to ask and question your entire existence? Question that you were born out of a tool to attack your own father. You know what I'm saying? You were born out of jealousy and rage. That you were not born with a purpose other than to be used as a tool in a hostage negotiation between your mother, your father, and the government and the state. It's a very painful aspect. It's a very painful, pill to swallow. And the thing is, you have to accept your father because, he didn't have a choice and he accepted he's your father. You carry his genetics. It is what it is. And it's not his fault. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, yes, a man is the key to relationships, marriage. A man decides the title a woman will have. Is she married? Is she in a relationship? And so on. But the person who holds the title of will that man be a father is your mother. So you have to, and I would say you have to help. You only get one father. You know what I'm saying? Within the current, if you're not in a arranged marriage and stuff, you only get one father, man. And what you gotta do, you have to reach out to that man and talk to him. If he's stable. I mean, if your father's a souped up drug addict who's on the street and, gone, you know what I'm saying? It's a risk and a danger for you to be around the person. It is what it is. You keep your distance, but you still accept, yep, that's my father. You know what I mean? Just like he had to accept, and your father had to accept it on a far higher level of, on a far more mental and psychological painful way of whether he's your father or not. You know what I'm saying? And how he became your father. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, fatherhood starts with motherhood. It's about who she accepts, between her legs to decide who will be a father. You know what I mean? And it don't matter if that man spit game and all that, and all that stuff. At the end of the day, your mother, decided who was your father. So if you hold any contempt, you can't really blame that man. I mean, to assume blame is to basically say he R-worded your mother. You know what I'm saying? He R-worded your mother, R-A-P-E. R-A-P-E. You're basically saying he R-worded your mother. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He graped her. That's what you're saying. If you blame him for how you came into this world, then you're basically saying he graped your mother. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He graped your mother. That's what you're basically saying. And then the truth is, it's not. So you can't blame your pops, man. You can't. And the thing is, that's going to destroy you. That you, while existing and while being alive, you curse the man that is half of you. You curse the half of you that exists that is not. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about a father. Here's the thing. A father is the closest thing to a man having a father is to break it down is similar to a woman's fertility. See, a woman's fertility, it runs out, independent of the man. She no longer becomes fertile. And what happens with your father is that independent of you, he will eventually pass. He will eventually die, and you will never, just like a woman can never get pregnant past her fertility window, you will never get to have your father once he's died, once he's passed on. So you have to accept who your father is, man. Accept who he is. Because at the end of the day, if you live in a modern society, he wasn't the deciding factor of who would be your father to begin with. And there's a lot of men, especially men from the single motherhood community, a lot of them are walking with this shadow, this over this consuming hatred of their father, man. This consuming hatred of their father that just is destroying them as they exist. And the thing is, it'll only get worse because you never accepted who your father is. You never got to get closure and acceptance. And you're walking around with this level of destructive hatred for a man that you will eventually lose. And once you lose this father, you will never have another father. You know what I mean? You might have a father figure, but that person will never be your father. So you have to, if you can, if that father of yours is within a safe mental space, you have to go talk and accept and let him know you accept who he is. You accept him. All his flaws, all his faults, you accept who he is. Because he wasn't a deciding factor of being a father to you. It wasn't his choice. It was your mother's choice. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens when we live in a society like this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? With how things are. You could go watch my video series, Why Feminism is the Future, and you'll see why. But the truth is, man, for your healing, for your mental well-being, you have to, and you have to accept who your father is. It don't matter if your father was an abusive asshole, a thief, a robber, a killer, a murderer, whatever he was. You have to accept him, because unless he raped your mother, then, you know what I'm saying, she decided who your father was, whether he qualified or not. So it ain't his fault. You know what I'm saying? It ain't his fault. You have to learn to accept your father. As a man, it's the biggest level of closure you will have. And I'm speaking from experience. You know what I'm saying? Mine is very different, but at the same time, you have to have that closure, man. So please, if you can, if your father's healthy enough, man, go talk to him. Talk to that man. Figure out ask him questions about your birth and how it was when he became a father. You're gonna hear the truth of your origin. Your origin isn't, your mom woke up and you were in the hospital. Nah, your origin is how your father found out he was to become a father, and what it meant to him, what was going through his head and all that. That will be the highest level of closure you will have. So please, if you get the chance, for your well-being, for your health as a man, go talk to your father and let that man know you accept him. Even if he doesn't accept you, even if it isn't, giving back, you just gotta let him know, I accept who you are. And, it is what it is. You're my father and you will always be my father, you know. But this has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Remember to like, comment, and share. Peace. All right, guys. And remember, please support SIMP-TAGION. We need to take this red pill message and, more logical outlook in fiction. It can't be just them selling this false, story with fiction. We have to sell the truth. All right, please support SIMP-TAGION. All you got to do is put $5 and share it, you know. They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of